Penny Hardaway's Tigers lost again yesterday, this time at SMU, and it was bad. Bennett, 106-79. That's your final score. That's a 27-point loss, most lopsided loss for your University of Memphis Tigers since they got blasted by 40 at Tulsa. Bennett, what are we going to do?
Okay, I think it's the worst loss of the Penny Hardaway era, right?
No.
No, it's not.
No. I mean, I should say SMU is legitimately not bad, and so it's not like they've never lost to a team as bad as SMU. That's not true.
Yeah,
and it's not quite they've never lost this bad because they got blasted by 40 at Tulsa.
Okay.
But given where this season once was,
that's where I'm going,
and how badly you needed to show you are back on track after winning 3 in a row and then losing at North Texas. Can you bounce back from that? Hey, we're still in this at-large conversation. We just lost one at North Texas, but North Texas is not terrible. Let's go to SMU, upset them, and get moving back. And then they just didn't show up. It was Penny identified it as the latest, most important game of the season.
Right.
And then it started, and his team did not show up. They just got absolutely embarrassed. No fight, no nothing. And now they are further away from the bubble than they've ever been, and obviously unlikely to play in the 2024 NCAA tournament. I'm not going to sit here on February 19th and insist there's no way they can get back in the at-large conversation now, because if they win the rest of their games in the regular season and then win 2 games in the conference tournament and then say lose at the buzzer to Florida Atlantic, maybe given what else might happen around the country, that would put them in a position to get back to that place, because they are still 3-3 in quadrant 1, 2-3 in quadrant 2, so 5-6 in the first 2 quadrants. They're still only 1 game below 500 in the first 2 quadrants. I know without context that means nothing to anybody, but just know that when I'm looking at teams for the top 25 and 1, if you are within a game of 500 in the first 2 quadrants with nothing damaging outside of those first 2 quadrants, that's top 25 and 1 good. There are teams in the top 25 and 1 right now who are also 1 game below 500 in the first 2 quadrants. It's just the big difference is they don't have anything in quadrant 3 bad, and they don't have anything in quadrant 4 bad. Memphis still has a loss in quadrant 1, a loss in quadrant 4, and then this is another problem, terrible computer numbers. 86 in the net, 90 at KenPom. They used to have a strength of record. This was their best metric, strength of record, because the predictive metrics never loved them. But strength of record is more of, we ain't looking at efficiency numbers as much as, say, KenPom and the net is. We're really just what have you accomplished this season? No preseason data, no preseason bias. We don't care about how efficient, just what have you accomplished this season? Their strength of record at one point was in the top 10 in the country. Now it's 61st. These types of numbers, you cannot be a part of the at-large conversation with these types of numbers. So not only do they need to win, they have to play extremely well while winning to improve these computer numbers to get them in a reasonable range where committee members can take an honest look at them. But there's literally nothing that suggests that's where we're headed. No, it's one of those. It's one of those things anything's possible, I guess. They could win all their remaining games by 45 points, right? Anything's possible, but what have you seen to make you think that's likely? It would be possible, I guess, for me to get into the best shape of my life. All I'd have to do is get up every single day and go to the gym for 2 hours. Well, it's pretty clear I'm not going to be able to do that, right? I should. I'd like to.
Yeah,
but we can stop lying to ourselves. That's not, at least until basketball season's over. And so it is possible for Memphis to do whatever it is you want Memphis to do. But you see anything yesterday that makes you think that's where we're headed? Did you hear anything from the coach yesterday that makes you think that's where we're headed? The coach quite clearly hates this team. And we've reached the point where he seems to be regretting bringing certain guys in. He said that last night. Some of our big names aren't competing. They're not happy. They weren't even happy when we were winning. We were ranked top 10 in the country, and some of these guys weren't happy because they're not getting the shots they want or getting this and getting that. just been unhappy all year long. I'm paraphrasing, but this is more or less what he said last night.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so let's talk through this.
Mm-hmm.
Big names are unhappy.
Yep.
And been unhappy much of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's just look at some of the big names on this roster.
Yep.
Javon Quinterly, big name.
Yes.
Do you remember in the preseason when it became a little bit of a controversy because Nate Oates was talking about...
I was literally going to bring this up.
Nate Oates was talking about his new point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what he said? It's just really nice to have a point guard who shows up every day, ready to work, works hard every day. It's just nice to have that. The implication being, I didn't used to have that, but now I do. And Nate came out and said, oh, no, I didn't mean that. But yes, you did. Yes, you did. Because you don't say something like that unless it's designed to mean something. Right? If you get a brand new car and I ask you about your car and you say, GP, it's just really nice to have a brand new car. It's been a while since I've had a nice car. It's been a while since, I've had a vehicle I could be proud of. That would be a direct shot at your previous vehicle. You're contrasting your new vehicle with your previous vehicle by saying, it's just really nice to have this new vehicle because I ain't had one like this in a while. And this is so much better than that's what he was doing. He was saying, I'm really it starts as a commentary on one player currently in his program, but because of the way he said what he said, it is clearly also a commentary on Javon Quinterly. That's what it was. So here we are.
Well,
his old coach didn't love him, and now it looks like his new coach doesn't love him either.
Well, and the thing is...
And oh, by the way, he started his career at Villanova and never played. Jay Wright just benched him.
And we kind of, after that comment from Nate Oates, we just kind of blew that off because he was playing well, and their big wins, he had really good games. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. When you look at his stats, man, when he's playing well, they win. Mm-hmm. And when he's not, which he hasn't been at all lately, they lose.
Yeah, 4 of 11.
I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, he was 4 of 11 from the field yesterday. Game before that, 3 of 10 from the field against Wichita, which was a win, but that was 1 of 13 from the field. Mm-hmm. Like, he hasn't been good lately. No. Okay, so there's one thing. Like, you built the team around a player, in part around a player, whose previous coach clearly was not a fan. Clearly questioned his work ethic. Clearly questioned his dedication. And now you have Penny Hardaway last night questioning his own team's work ethic, all the same stuff. Mm-hmm. All the same stuff. Okay. Naquan Tomlin. He's only here because another university said you cannot represent us. All right? You can't be here anymore. Go somewhere, anywhere. We don't care, but not here. That's another key. So, Jaquan Walton. You realize the only reason, you know where he was supposed to be going to school? Alabama.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
He was at Wichita State, decided to transfer. He was going to Alabama. He got arrested. Weed and gun. All right? Alabama, because of the Brandon Miller, everything that happened at Alabama last year.
We can't take you. Right.
Just anything with a gun. They were like, we can't.
Right.
Obviously.
Got it.
So they say, well, you can't come here anymore. They stopped. They basically pulled his scholarship and said, you can't come here anymore. So he's at Memphis. So at the very least, 3 of your important players, a guy, three very important players on this team. One of them is a point guard the previous coach didn't like. Another one is a front court player who quite literally got kicked out of his other school. And another one is Jaquan Walton, who is only here because he got arrested, period. Mm-hmm. At the school he was supposed to attend, said, you can't come here anymore. So this is these are the ingredients you're using to build a basketball team. And I'm not going to have revisionist history here. I never said in advance of it blowing up, this is going to blow up. But one thing I did say in advance of Naquan Tomlin enrolling is that this has you have to leave open the possibility that this could disrupt your chemistry. And the data, we've gone through it. When Naquan Tomlin joined this team, the team changed, and not for the better. Losing Caleb Mills is also a factor, but...
Yeah, the weird Jordan Brown stuff.
Also a factor.
Yep.
But the biggest issue is chemistry problems. And it's a byproduct in some ways of having to build a brand new team through the transfer portal in the offseason. And Penny discussed that last night as well. But the problem becomes, like, this is how you're going to have to build your next team.
That's true, because you're not going to want a lot of these guys to come back next season.
And a lot of them ain't going to want to come back.
A lot of them are going to want to come back.
Some of them are going to be out of eligibility.
Right.
Some of them ain't going to want to come back. And some of them you ain't going to want back. I would imagine it's an almost entirely new team next year. And so you're going to have to build it exactly the way you built this one. You're just going to have to get it right this time, because assuming they're not in the NCAA tournament, Penny Hardaway will enter year 7 with fewer NCAA tournament appearances than Josh Pastner through 6 years, with fewer NCAA tournament wins than Josh Pastner through 6 years. And do you remember what happened to Josh Pastner after year 7? Memphis quite literally erased his buyout and paid him roughly $1 million to take the Georgia Tech job. They said, go, please go now. We can't afford to fire you because we don't have the money, but we will give you $1 million to leave. Based on the terms of the contract, if Josh Pastner leaves Memphis in that moment, he owes Memphis money. All right? But he wasn't necessarily going to take the job. And Memphis encouraged him to take the job by saying, if you want to go to Georgia Tech, understand this. Your buyout, the money you owe us, you don't have to pay us. And we'll give you roughly $1 million. Instead of you having to pay us to leave, we'll pay you to leave. We'll pay you to leave. That's what they did with Josh Pastner after a disappointing year 7. And through 6 years, he had twice as many NCAA tournament appearances as Penny Hardaway is probably going to have, and twice as many NCAA tournament wins as Penny Hardaway is probably going to have. There's a lot of pressure on him heading into next season. I do think it is all pressure heading into next season. I was asked last night on the Island College Basketball Podcast by Matt Norlander, is Penny Hardaway in any kind of trouble this season? I don't believe so. I don't believe they have the money to do it. I don't believe they want to do it.
I agree.
I don't believe, you ready for this? I don't believe they should do it.
I don't either at all. Because there has been success. We've seen it. This year is horrible.
As recently as, today's February 19th. As recently as January 18th, so a month ago.
Yep.
Here's the way you could describe Penny Hardaway. He's a 6-year coach coming off back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances with a team ranked in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we were a month ago.
That's right.
So the idea that you would 1 month later be going, is he in trouble? That's wild.
Agreed.
I don't mean wild in the sense that it's a crazy thing to wonder about. I mean, it's just wild to go from
it's this situation.
Just to flip it like that. They've lost 6 of 9.
Yep.
And like in the American Athletic Conference, they're like 6th place in the AAC right now. They stink.
That's the thing. And I think that a lot of it, too, when we talk about these players, and listen, obviously a lot of this goes on Penny. He built the team. A lot of it, and I said this after the North Texas loss, goes on these players because I think, GP, they got into league play and just thought, we just got to show up. This league sucks, and we just have to show up.
I do think there's something to that, but like you should have snapped out of that by now.
You definitely should have.
But I do think
But now there's the chemistry problem.
I do think there was something to that. Like putting so much emphasis on the non-league and then and like Penny constant. And I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying I do think this is a factor. It's like all our tough games are in November, December. We have to build our resume in November, December. This is what really matters. This is the most important. And so when you pass that test and your coach has been telling you everything after this test, like this is your hardest test.
Right.
The next test is no problem. We got to pass his first test. The second test is no problem. If you're following me here, the first test being non-league, the second test being your league schedule. When your coach is consistently telling you the first test is going to be difficult, but if we can pass it, that second test is no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you passed the first test, straight A's, all right? Now you're in your second test and you ain't studying no more.
Right.
You ain't taking it seriously anymore. Well, then the second test can get you. And that seems like on some level what happened. But I don't think that explains all of it.
No, I don't either.
I think that explains.
And Penny acknowledged yesterday that when they were winning, they were dealing with some chemistry stuff.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not a good place to be. So I do not think he's in any trouble this season. I do not think he should be in any trouble this season. Again, just a month ago, he was a coach who was in his 6th year coming off back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances and with a team ranked in the top 10 in the country. He should get a year 7. He will get a year 7. But if year 7 looks like year 6, that might be it. I mean, if you pay Josh Pastner to go away after year 7, while recognizing Josh Pastner is not Penny Hardaway, and that is something you have to consider. Penny Hardaway is your Patrick Ewing. But even Georgetown got to a point where they said, we have to fire you. We can't let you keep leading this program. This is not where it needs to be. And I would hate if we ever got to that place with Penny. But ultimately, that is where you get with most coaching careers. That's usually how they end. So wherever this season goes, we'll see. Like, really no reason to be optimistic other than
no.
They do have talented players, and if it clicked, we'll see.
I just don't.
But, yeah, I don't. Yeah. Like, it sounds like the coach doesn't even believe in them anymore.
Right.
And I'm not certain that he ever did, even when they were winning. So we'll see where this season goes. Probably not a good place, but I do think he will, Penny Hardaway, enter year 7 with some real, not just fan pressure, but like real job pressure. I think if he's being honest with himself, he will understand that he is entering year 7, and if it doesn't go well, there might not be a year 8.